The destroyer is called Nibiru. Nibiru, with a mass of 8 times that of Jupiter, would tear apart a planet if the encounter was close enough. Such a Nibiru would most likely be a brown dwarf star. A brown dwarf star is too big to be a planet, and too small to light a nuclear fire and become a full-fledged star. So picture this. A brown dwarf star, Nibiru, entered into the solar system and came down a couple of diameters behind and under Tiamat. This close encounter tore her apart. In the perfect example of bad timing, Mars came up under Tiamat just as she is being pulled apart. Several large pieces fell into Mars's northern sea, creating some 100+ mile diameter volcanic vents. Massive amounts of magma poured out, and boiled away the sea. Lomonosov and Light are remnants of this bombardment. They both show signs of multiple flows. There is at least one, and perhaps 2, large vents at the southeast edge of the Cydonia Plain. Lomonosov is 1,300 miles north of Cydonia, with Light about the same distance east and a little north. There are several smaller vents in the northern lowlands, adjacent to these major vents. With magma flowing from all these vents, for hundreds of years a sea or 2 could easily be boiled off. On land the impacts created great shield volcanoes such as Olympus Mons, the largest volcano in the solar system. Nibiru, the destroyer of planets, passes in front of Tiamat, as it climbed back up out of the solar system, pulling several large pieces with it. One of these pieces dropped off to take up a tilted eccentric orbit, and becomes known as Pluto. Behind Nibiru trailed a cloud of debris that rained down on the 4 outer planets. Some of these took up orbits around the planets, and became minor moons. Others fell into the planets. Their clear atmospheres were clouded by the turbulence of the falling remnants of Tiamat. Mars may have picked up one of 2 chunks of Tiamat. Phobos shows signs of layering. This is an indication of sedimentary or volcanic buildup. One of the asteroids we have pictures of looks like it broke off something. It looks like a broken rock. It is acknowledged as a broken rock. Where it came from is the speculation. I speculate it was Tiamat. They speculate it was a smaller chunk of something. Tiamat was a water world, as were Mars and Earth. Venus is a sulfuric acid world. They are representative of the kind of life that might live on Venus, or here on Earth. They form cenotites, a microbe that lives in a sulfuric acid bath of its own secretion. These cenotites live in deep caves in total darkness. Living with these cenotites is a small ecosystem that makes its living by eating the rock and making an ever bigger cave. There is, of course, running water there. Liquid water is required for biological life. A star, such as the Sun, is very hot. It is so hot that the atoms leaving the surface are missing an electron or 3. It takes a while before they calm down enough to get together with other atoms to make molecules. Both hydrogen and oxygen boil off the Sun. Some of these molecules get together to form water too. At the other end of the solar system, out in interstellar space, it is very, very cold. Any water molecules that did clump up would be frozen solid. In between these 2 extremes is a band where there will be liquid water. Any solid objects in this range will collect water. Thus there is a band of liquid water around every star in the universe. Every place on Earth where there is liquid water there is life. The laws of the physical world, physics, chemistry and etc., are uniform throughout the known universe. Thus there is biological life throughout the known universe. Tiamat was a water world. Some of this water fell on Mars. In one case it was an iceberg that impacted a hardened lava crust over a molten underflow. Even now there is liquid flowing out from under the surface of Mars. Elsewhere is the solar system. Uranus is laying on its side. Venus is upside down. And Pluto not only is almost upside down, its orbit is the most irregular of the known planets. Pluto shows the signs of being recently captured rather than having been bombed with the solar system. And finally, from the Book of Enoch the Prophet, chapter 64, verse 1, I quote, "In those days Noah saw that the earth became inclined, and destruction approached." The destruction of Mars more than any other of the planets in our solar system, human beings have always had a strong emotional attachment to our neighbor in the sky. Our history, our legends and our myths, seem to point over and over again to Mars, and seemingly tell us that the story of Mars is somehow important to us. During the past 30 years, countless billions of dollars have been spent sending spacecraft to this planet, in the hopes of unlocking her many mysteries. In 2004, the President of the United States, whose country is embroiled in a war, is expected to announce a new effort to reach Mars with a manned expedition. Photos from previous missions to Mars are the subjects of such controversy that entire websites and books have been written about them. The vast majority of photos that have been taken, however, still remain under lock and key by NASA, JPL, and numerous private contractors, who are immune from Freedom of Information Act lawsuits. In turning back again though to our common myths and legends, we learn that Mars was once a sister to Earth, and like Earth was a living planet. On her surface great civilizations once reigned, and great monuments built. And that her demise came as quickly as the blink of an eye. Though there are many names given for the cause of her destruction, we'll simply give it the name in vogue now. Planet 10. And as we've already discussed, our ancient ancestors gave this planet a name, and named the alien beings associated with it. And like the destruction of our sister planet Mars, a faction of these aliens have likewise planned for the destruction of Earth.